Good afternoon, investor and corporate. Welcome to Set Digital Roadshow first quarter 2022 performance review. This section will run about 45 minutes, including Q&A. Company will start the section by 30-minute presentation, followed by 15-minute Q&A. And during Q&A, investor may leave your question in meeting room chat box or use raise your hand function. We will open your microphone so you can ask the question to the company directly. So may I now invite BANPU Public Company Limited start the presentation, please. Thank you very much.
Thank you ค่ะ สวัสดีค่ะ Good afternoon everyone and thank you Stock Exchange of Thailand for hosting this event regularly which give BANPU an opportunity to meet with all of you. For today I also have Kun Viraj, Head of Corporate Strategy joining during the Q&A as well. So we have prepared the updated on our latest first quarter result performance and the presentation can also be downloaded from our IR section in BANPU website. I will spend about 25 to 30 minutes for the presentation and then will be followed by the Q&A. So let me start with the key achievement in the first quarter, slide number 4. So we just launched our first quarter results a month ago with a good earning performance, mainly driven by a strong commodities market. While on the strategic progress, we have accelerated our portfolio transformation by continuing to accumulate greener capacity, starting with Vietnam, where we have acquired another 2 solar farms for a total of 50 megawatt, and we entering into the solar rooftop business as well. Then continue with expanding the solar rooftop portfolio in Indonesia for around 6 megawatt. And then with the recent deal announcement on XTO shale gas acquisition in Barnett, which make BANPU become top producers in Barnett shale area in Texas and become top 15 shale gas producer in the US. Next slide, please. So this slide is a quick refresher on BANPU portfolio as an international versatile energy provider, where we focus in developing integrated solutions across the energy value chain. And this also illustrates a good flow of how each of the business could complement each other as what we call a BANPU ecosystem. So we simply group them into 3 core business. The first one is energy resources, which consists of coal mining and the natural gas business. And then the second one in the middle is the energy generation, which consists of gas-fired power plant, the high efficiency, low emission or HELE power plant. And under this thermal baseload business, most of them are invested through the companies called BANPU Power. And together, we also continue to expand our renewable portfolio through the smart clean energy flagship, which is BANPU Next. And that also covers the investment in the last pillar of BANPU, which is the energy technology. And right now, the solutions in energy technology include those major renewable and energy tech solution like battery production, EV, mobility as a service, energy trading, smart city, and also energy management. Next slide, please. So this slide will show our deep focus that we are still on sustainability, which reflect in our continued ESG leadership and the credit rating recognition as shown here. For example, we have been recognized by the DJSI for the 8th consecutive year. We got an A rating for the 3rd consecutive year from MSCI ESG rating. And this ESG policy is also being deployed to each of our subsidiaries. For example, like BANPU Power, BPP, has been recognized as a member of S&P Sustainable Yearbook and also continue to receive a sustainability awards in the Thailand from Stock Exchange of Thailand. And also our US gas business also received a gold rating for being a responsible operators, with a portion of our gas production being certified as a responsibly sourced gas by Project Canary. And we will continue growing our business along with this commitment toward the ESG. Next slide, please. Next one. Okay, so we this is something that we have zooming out on what's happening in the market right now, while we are BANPU continuing to transform ourselves So the global commodity price continue to rise, and major factors that drive this price include the war between Russia and Ukraine, as global reliance on Russian natural resources has caused a supply chain disruption worldwide. And then it's created inflation, interest rate hikes, and also potential recession, which just recently announced the inflation that hit a 40-year high rate of 8.6% in May. And also that's create the rising commodity supply cost, which caused by labor shortage and also increasing oil prices. While our revenue are currently being supported by the commodity prices, we focus on becoming increasingly anti-fragile to ensure that our portfolio grows and strengthens with the ongoing and future disruptions. Next slide, please. So within each of our three core pillars, we are building a strong and sustainable portfolio through operational and growth initiatives. So under the energy resources, our existing mining production and reserves are well positioned to capture the upside from the increasing commodity prices. And we will utilize those cash generated from this upside as a catalyst to further grow and expand our lower carbon gas upstream and also midstream portfolio in the strategic location like the US. In the middle one, under energy generation, we will strengthen our position as a responsible baseload provider by maintaining operational excellence and cost controlling measures and expanding our HELE portfolio, our renewable portfolio across different geography. And then on the last one, which is energy technology, we will capture new energy trends while scaling up our existing portfolio and invest into new and disruptive business and continue to develop what we call BANPU ecosystem by integrating all these services and solutions into a digital platform. Next slide, please. So if we're looking ahead into 2025, our strategy is to continue driving our greener and smarter transformation across our three core business units through what we call a 3A strategy. The first A is anti-fragile approach, which means that we want to build a portfolio, anti-fragile systems and portfolio that grow and also improve through market shocks and global disruption. The second A is acceleration, or we want to continue accelerate the acquisitions and investment into a greener business. And the last A is augmentation. We want to utilize our expertise, core competency, and cash flow to capitalize on new business opportunities to diversify growth. For example, that we listed here, 4.0 technology, healthcare sector as a growing industry with trend like toward wellness and life longevity, and a smart agriculture. Next slide, please. Now let me move to the financial summary section. We have achieved the first quarter result with a very strong EBITDA of $596 million, and the result was mainly driven by coal and gas business contribution, which supported by a very strong commodity price level, and also continue to receive a stable contribution from both power and also energy tech business. And then we report the net profit at $311 million, which already include the one-time gain from the divestment of Sunseap. And that result in the net DE improved to 1.1 times compared to the previous quarter of 1.3 times. Then let me just move quickly on to slide number 17 to continue the market update for the energy resources business. Okay, on this slide, just to touch on the US gas market update. So majority of the gas demand is still based on the domestic consumption. Price is largely determined by the local demand and supply. The domestic demand within the US itself still remain robust, with price driven by both residential and commercial demand. And at the same time, the gas burn in the power sector also outperformed the expectation. In the US, the electric power sector, as the natural gas price increased, so power plant also trying to find substitution, but it has relatively limited in recent months because of supply constraint for both coal and gas market. So that's why it drives up both the fuel price to remain in a high level. Then on the graph on the right, upright, it shows that the production has increasing. It is forecast to average about at 97 billion cubic feet per day for the whole year. That's driven by high natural gas and crude oil price that's supporting more drilling activities. And if you look at the lower graph, because demand of natural gas has outpaced the production, so the inventories remain low. Though we already seen more drilling activities and injection season that just started in April, it is still below the 5-year average storage level. So that's reflecting into a rise in natural gas price. Next slide, please. So the natural gas spot price at the US Henry Hub benchmark in Louisiana, it's still average at about $8 per MMBTU in May, and in 2022 in May, and it now traded at average about $8.7 per MMBTU, which could probably be around this figure throughout the summer, which is from June through to August. And the US natural gas price will relatively remain high in this year because of lower than average natural gas inventory, as I mentioned earlier. And it's forecasted to be around $7.5 per MMBTU level in the whole year, but probably signaling a slightly decline after the first quarter of next year. Next slide, please. In terms of the operational performance, gas business reported a total production volume of about 60 billion cubic feet, just slightly down compared to the previous quarter. But the average local coal price in first quarter was achieved at $4.8 per million cubic feet, mainly because of the good weather that supported a higher demand. And the US natural gas consumption was softening in the first quarter, but we see a better trend for recovery in the second quarter, and the production also improved due to better weather conditions. Next slide, please. On the financial performance, we are able to capture pricing and also deliver strong production despite some winter freeze and inflationary price environment in the first quarter. And the EBITDA of first quarter was reported at 167 million in first quarter 2022. So let me continue to coal market in slide 21. So seaborne thermal coal market has been extremely tight. That's mainly due to the supply disruption in major coal export country, for example, like flooding in Australia, heavy rain in Indonesia, and also coupled with uncertainty in external environment. So the coal price was rally up to above 400 level last week after Europe continued to sanction against Russia, and some country like UK even said that they might have to consider to resume some of its coal-fired power plant in this coming winter. So some of other importing countries that are not rely on Russian coal that much, they probably can immediately stop importing. But some of Western countries and Japan, they though they declare the sanction, but they have to gradually reduce the reliance on energy supply from Russia. So that might create another shoot up in the commodity prices again in the coming winter, which normally will start in October. Next slide, please. On this slide, we want to show you the coal price. So it has been reaching the level that we have never expected before. And at this level of above 400 is surely way over the fundamental. When we look at the rationalized, it should be start out from the highest cost curve at around 80 to 90 US dollar per ton. But with the situation now, people talk about the normalized price at probably above 200 level. Next slide, please. So with the continuing a good market condition, we continue our operational plan to be able to maximize the margin and continue to execute our cost management and saving strategy, especially for Indonesia, where we will be more flexible as it is an open pit mining. In the first quarter, the ASP was achieved at 150 US dollar per ton, while in the second quarter and later half of the year, we also see the trend of a lot of improvement. And in terms of the pricing, from this donut graph, you can see that most of our contracts are now indexed link, but there will be a time gap with the index price movement and the clause within the contract that we agree with the customers. However, for the Centennial coal quality, the Australian operation, which is a low sulfur, lower ash, high calorific value, will very much enjoy this market because on the export portion, which is now at about 40% of our CEY total production, we can basically apply the Newcastle Coal Price Index when selling to our export customers. And for the domestic part, later half of the year, there may also be some possibility to repricing with the customer, which is now still under negotiation. Next slide, please. In terms of the operational performance in the first quarter, as I mentioned earlier, there were many supply disruption happen. For Australia, the production was at 1.7 million ton, which down by about 17% compared to the fourth quarter. That's because of our Mandalong mine schedule for changeover. But we expect the production will be back on track in the coming second quarter. For Indonesia, we remained the production quite flat between the first quarter and expected for second quarter to be at 3.8 million ton. This is because we also need time to familiarize with the new equipment that we just installed at the site, and also we expected to gradually improve in the later half of the year. While for China, the production was very smooth. Demand within the country was strong, so we can enjoy quite a significant improvement in earning contribution to BANPU Group. So then let me continue to the energy generation business on slide 28, please. So for power business, this slide shows the overview of where we are across different geography. And right now we have a total of 4.2 gigawatt of committed capacity, and around 90% of this capacity is in operation, and the rest is under construction. And we expect to be developed as planned. And we are also looking for more to secure up to our target of 6.1 gigawatt within 2025. Next slide, please. So this slide showing what I call like a thermal base load power plant. Now we have base load power plant in 5 countries and with a growing demand. I would say that most of our assets reported a very strong efficiency, especially for Hongsa, BRCP, and also the Nagoso IGCC plant in Japan, which has limited downside on the fuel cost since the long-term coal supply contract was secured and the PPA allow for the pass-through mechanism on the fuel cost. So all these assets continue to generate good cash flow, while the challenge we are facing is in China power operation. Next slide, please. For China power operation, actually in the first quarter, we also see the turnaround on our financial performance into positive, even though there were a very high rise in the coal cost. Because we have to partly digest the high coal price on the way as well. So we could see that the Chinese government is also working very hard to cope with this price environment. For example, like they declare and implement to increase the coal production target by another 300 million ton capacity. And this capacity will gradually come online from mines in Shanxi and also in Mongolia. So the government is trying hard to keep coal supply sufficient so that the power plants can continue to operate smoothly at a lower cost. And going forward, we will continue our operational strategy to ensure all these plants have been efficiently and also provide reliable power and electricity to deliver a strong and continue also generate a strong cash flow. Next slide, please. Onto BANPU renewable portfolio. Right now, we secure up to nearly 1 gigawatt and operational performance in which we have a solar farm and wind farm across different geography, especially solar farm in China, Japan, and Australia has performed a very stable and also continue to contribute a consistent earning. Next slide, please. I just want to highlight on the recent expansion in renewable project in Vietnam. And right now we have both wind and solar in our portfolio with the long-term PPA in place and also having the FIT scheme with a fixed tariff for 20 years. And we will gradually recognize all of its performance starting from this year onward. Next slide, please. Moving to our last pillar of business, which is BANPU Energy Technology, we aim to develop the products and service to fulfill and serve the changing pattern of energy consumption, and also trying to combine the digital transformation into a product and service for the customers. And under the roof of energy technology, major movement in the first quarter is mainly on the first block, which is solar rooftop and floating, that we have increased our portfolio from 99 megawatt in fourth quarter of last year up to 138 megawatt in the first quarter. And we also increased the energy trading target in the last column from 1,000 gigawatt hour to be 2,000 gigawatt hour within 2025. And for the highlight update on the energy tech business portfolio, we will include the following in the next slide. Starting with our solar business, in the solar rooftop business, we signed a solar rooftop PPA in Indonesia with a total capacity of around 6 megawatt. And we also signed a contract with Samalasan and SCS Sportwears for installation of another 1 megawatt of solar rooftop. And we also continue growing our floating solar business to serve the industrial estates in Thailand, including the 16 floating solar for LK Rubber Industrial City Hub, which is now achieved more than 95% of construction progress. And we'll continue also to expand to new project of 32 megawatt floating solar for Apex Green Industrial Estate. Next slide, please. So moving on to our e-mobility business, for MoveMe or the three-wheeler, we continue to expand operations to new areas. It's now covering 10 areas in Bangkok. And also recently, we have just reached a milestone of providing a total of 2 million eco-friendly trips since its start operation in 2018. And moreover, we have increased our stake in eVolt to 20% and also Hopcar to 17.4% respectively to accelerate the growth of our EV-related service business. For our smart city and energy service business, BANPU Next, EcoServe, and SP Group has also signed a JV agreement to develop a district cooling system and also a cross-border renewable certificate. And that will be all for our presentation today. Now, we are very welcome for any question that you may have.
Okay, the section has come to an end. So on behalf of the Stock Exchange of Thailand, I would like to thank you investor and corporate for joining the conference. We look forward to welcome you all again in the next quarter. Thank you very much and have a good day. ขอบคุณนะคะคุณเกษรา
ขอบคุณนะคะ
ขอบคุณค่ะ